It's Friday night. Time is 8:30. It's that time again. Good evening, all. Take one. Action. It's the LA Cinema Film Quiz. I was a little worried just then. Normally it comes up with viewers that are waiting, and it came up with 0. And I thought maybe tonight we won't have an audience, but Shirley's already introduced herself. Good evening, all. Hope you're well. Touch wood. Fingers crossed as well that we don't have any technical issues like we did last week, which was a bit of a pain. Had to reboot the router. You might remember if you joined last week. Anyway, give us a shout out if you just joined. My name's James. I'll be the host this evening for the next 90 minutes for this 4th edition of the LA Cinema Film Quiz. We do this every week. Good evening to Shirley. Yeah, fingers crossed, no gremlins, no spanners in the work tonight. Christopher Blackett back again. Good evening to you. And one of LA Cinema's volunteers. Good to see Matt Stock in the room as well. So good evening all. Hope you've had a good week. So let me introduce the topics for this evening. It'd be the usual format. It's 5 rounds consisting of the 10 questions, 50 questions in total. And then at the end, I'll tell you the answers and we'll see how you got on. So here are this week's topics. See if any of these whet your appetite. Round number 1, this was a recommendation from the Richards, who are based in Bristol. Hopefully they're here for this week's quiz. Science fiction movies from the 1970s and 1980s is round number 1. Can you remember the movie taglines? We're going to bring that back this week. So round number 2, the comeback of the movie taglines. Number 3, I thought I'd do a round on the Hollywood actress Annette Bening. And then number 4, having had a few hiccups in the last few weeks, somebody said, why don't we do continuity errors? So that's going to be round number 4. And the final round, swords and sorcery. So before we start tonight's quiz, and I start reading out the questions, a couple of little bits of film-related news that I was going to just briefly speak about, then introduce a couple of films that I've watched during the week, and also get some feedback from yourselves. So a couple of bits of film news. Netflix have released the new David Fincher film, which I think was released today. The film's called Mank. It's received generally positive reviews. I think it was uploaded to the channel today. I did see a couple of cinemas were actually showing it. It's about the screenwriter Herman J. Mankiewicz, working on Orson Welles' masterwork, Citizen Kane, and I think I'm going to watch it after the quiz. Local hero died this week, resident to Bristol. I think they even resurrected a statue for a day or two. David Prowse, who famously played the role of Darth Vader, as we all know, but didn't provide the voice. That was James Earl Jones. Appeared in several films over the years. He was one of Frankenstein's monsters. He even appeared in a Carry On film. And he even appeared in my favorite David Prowse film, which was working with the great Stanley Kubrick on the controversial Clockwork Orange in 1971. We failed to mention another legend died last week, the football genius Maradona. If you've not seen the documentary film on the Argentinian international and played for Napoli, do check it out. It's a really good documentary. And lastly, I noticed that Francis Ford Coppola has done another recut of one of his famous films, not one of his best ones. He's gone back to The Godfather Part 3. It's now available cinema release and on Amazon Prime, I believe. It's not called The Godfather 3 now. It's a new cut and it's called The Godfather Coda. So I hope to see this at some point. Good evening all. I hope you're ready for tonight's quiz. Gail Rogers back. Thanks for joining us. So I always start off with a couple of little purchases of films that I've made during the week and anything I've watched. Picked up a couple of things this week, a couple of DVDs and Blu-rays. So I'll quickly go through those and then we'll start the quiz and I'll tell you my first film that I watched during the week, during sort of the middle of the quiz, if that's all right. So the first purchase, I'm always banging on about Criterion. They're a fantastic collection that release brilliant DVDs and Blu-rays of old and classic films. And they've just re-released Martin Scorsese's The Irishman on Blu-ray. I saw this at the cinema about a year ago. I went to see it twice. I'm a big fan of the film and I wanted to have my own copy of it. So Robert De Niro back on form with Joe Pesci, who's absolutely brilliant in a very subdued role. And Al Pacino as well as Jimmy Hoffa. So The Irishman was my first purchase, one of my favorite films from last year, and by a very consistent director. I'm a bit of a rock and roll fan. I think I've mentioned a few times. I saw this film donkeys years ago, probably about 10 years ago on TV. It's a film called American Hot Wax. It's about the DJ Alan Freed during the 1950s era. He got in serious trouble and was kind of blacklisted during payola years. It features performances from some of the great rock and rollers, including Chuck Berry. So I need to watch this one. I think it came out in 1979 with a really good rock and roll soundtrack. And a purchase from a couple of months back. I always like a bit of Malcolm McDowell. This is Britannia Hospital, one I believe from the early 1980s. It's a Lindsay Anderson film following the same character we were introduced to in If, the first film, Oh Lucky Man, and the final film in the trilogy, Britannia Hospital. Okay, so Dutch film buff back from last week. Thanks for joining us. Are you all ready for tonight's quiz? Right, so we'll go with question number one, the first round. Hope you've all had a good week. So the first recommendation, this was from last week. I think it was Emma Richards. I'm not sure if she's here tonight. This was a round she asked for science fiction movies from the 1970s and 1980s. So we start, the only thing I'll say is obviously don't write your answers in the chat window because we can all see them. And good luck. Answers will be revealed at the end. Here we go. Question number one, round number one. Name the 1976 sequel to 1973's Westworld, which sees Yul Brynner reprise his role as a gunslinger. So we start with a sequel, the sci-fi genre. So question one, name the 1976 sequel to 1973's Westworld, which sees Yul Brynner reprise his role as a gunslinger. It's now on TV. They adapted it. Michael Crichton novel. TV series I hear is quite good. I've not seen it. Number two, I'm looking for two answers. So 2 points on offer with this one. So Mike Hodges' cult science fiction classic, Flash Gordon, was released in 1980. But name the actor who plays Flash and the actor who plays his nemesis, the Emperor Ming. So two answers to question number two. So Mike Hodges' cult science fiction classic, Flash Gordon, was released in 1980. But tell me the name of the actor who plays Flash and the actor who plays his nemesis, the Emperor Ming. I think the actor who plays Flash turns up in that film Ted with Mark Wahlberg. I don't know if any of you have seen that slapstick comedy with Mila Kunis. Number three, trickier question now. Wizards is a 1977 animated feature set in a post-apocalyptic Earth and a battle between two wizards. But name the director, animator, and writer whose other works include the animated version of Lord of the Rings, Fritz the Cat, and Cool World. So, prolific name in animation I'm looking for. So, Wizards is the film. It's a 1977 animated feature. And he's also known, he wrote, directed, and animated the film, but his other works include The Lord of the Rings, that's the animated version, Fritz the Cat, and Cool World. But tell me his name. Bit of a dry throat this evening. Hopefully no gremlins this week. Hope and pray. Number 4, we're looking for a character name now. So Kurt Russell plays a convicted bank robber. He was sent to rescue the US president in Escape from New York. But name the character Russell plays. This is a famous character in a science fiction film. A really good John Carpenter movie. But Kurt Russell plays a convicted bank robber. He was sent to rescue the US president in Escape from New York. But name the character Kurt Russell plays. Number 5 now, halfway through. This is a Malcolm McDowell. I picked up a Malcolm McDowell film a minute ago. Here's a question on him. Name the 1979 movie which sees H.G. Wells, played by Malcolm McDowell, pursue Jack the Ripper, David Warner, to the 20th century, when the surreal murderer uses the future writer's time machine to travel to the future. Okay, so a 1979 movie which sees H.G. Wells pursue Jack the Ripper to the 20th century, where Jack the Ripper uses the future writer's time machine to travel to the future. But tell me the name of the film. It was a film I watched a couple of months ago and spoke about on the live quiz, probably about 3-4 months ago. Okay, Star Trek question now. Name the full title of the second Star Trek movie, released in 1982. So I'm just looking for the full title of the film. It's the second Star Trek film, released in 1982. Can you tell me the name of the full title, please? Number 7 now. Move back a few years to 1976. But name the science fiction film directed by Nicholas Roeg. An alien must pose as a human to help save his dying planet. But a woman and greed of other men create complications. If I told you the lead actor, it would give it away straight away. It's a cult film from 1976 directed by Nicholas Roeg. An alien must pose as a human to help save his dying planet. But a woman and greed of other men create complications. Tell me the name of the film. Next question. Number 8 now. Looking for an actor's name. Name the legendary American actor who plays heating engineer Harry Tuttle in Terry Gilliam's 1985 sci-fi classic, Brazil. This is a film I love from the 80s. I was fortunate enough to see it probably about 7-8 years ago on the big screen. Great film. But name the legendary American actor who plays heating engineer Harry Tuttle in Terry Gilliam's 1985 sci-fi classic, Brazil. For number 9, probably one of the toughest questions of the night. I'm looking for 4 answers for this one. So get your thinking caps on. What are RoboCop's 4 prime directives? So in the film, there's 4 things you must abide by the law. There's 4 prime directives. But tell me all 4, point for each. It's probably one of the toughest questions of the night. Dutch film boy saying he bought that one Blu-ray last week. I presume that's Terry Gilliam's Brazil. Yeah, there's a good Criterion release of it, which I think is a director's cut with several versions. And number 10, name the acclaimed 1988 manga film about a secret military project which endangers Neo Tokyo, which turns a biker gang member into a rampaging psychopath who can only be stopped by two teenagers and a group of psychics. So this is a manga film. It just got a cinema release a couple of months back, a re-release. It's from 1988. It's about a secret military project which endangers Neo Tokyo, and it turns a biker gang member into a raging psychopath who can only be stopped by two teenagers and a group of psychics. Tell me the name of the film. Okay, that's all 10 questions for round number 1 on the sci-fi genre from the 70s and 1980s. If you need any of them repeating, just shout out which question number and how did you fare with your sci-fi genre. How did you get on with this round? Anyone quietly confident on their sci-fi movies? Good mix of films in there, I think, this week. We've got old films and new films. Good mix of rounds coming up. How did you get on with round number 1? Anyone confident that they got a full house this week? You're all a little bit quiet, not so confident on this round, maybe? Not very well, says Gail Rogers. She's thinking she got a 5-ish. We'll find out at the end how you got on when we reveal the answers. Anyone else? In a minute, we'll move on to round number 2. And we're going to bring back, can you remember a couple of months we did the movie taglines? We're going to bring that back for this week. Yeah, the Robocop one's a tricky one, but Bikey Chick, quite confident with a 10, we think. 10 would be a really good score to start off the 4th edition of the quiz. And hello to Mr. Harlequin, maybe a 10. Okay, so a couple of months ago, we brought a round which was I really enjoyed. It's the movie taglines. These are normally little taglines, quotes, normally about a sentence or two on posters to kind of try and promote the film. So I'm going to read out a tagline that was used on a movie promotional poster, and you need to just tell me the name of the film. They're tricky, but there's always a clue in the question. You ready for movie taglines? 10 questions. Round number 2. Here we go. What's everyone drinking this evening? I'm just on the water. I stupidly decided to drink 3 pints of cider last night and a glass of gin, followed by half a tub of Pringles, which won a very good way of looking after the waistline. Here we go. So number 1, a tribute film to the great music of the 1970s. So here's the tagline. Experience it, enjoy it, just don't fall for it. So this is a tribute film in admiration to the great music of the 1970s. But the tagline is, experience it, enjoy it, just don't fall for it. What is the film? Tagline number 2. Here we go. Sci-fi cult movie from 2001. Here is the tagline. Life is one long, insane trip. Some people just have better directions. So this is a cult sci-fi film. Early 2000s, 2001, it was released. Here's the tagline again. Life is one long, insane trip. Some people just have better directions. Easier one now, no clues for this one. Question number 3, round number 2. He is afraid. He is totally alone. He is 3 million light years from home. I bet you'll all get this one. Probably one of the easier questions, one of the easier taglines from tonight. Here we go again. Tagline number 3 is, he is afraid. He is totally alone. He is 3 million light years from home. Nearly saying the next line now to give it away totally, but I'd imagine you all get this one. Here we go. Number 4, no clues again for this one. Here's the tagline. 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. That's a lot of space to find one fish. There's the big clue, last line. We'll do that one again. Number 4, 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. That's a lot of space to find one fish. Move on to the next one, which is number 5. No clues for this one. This one's short but sweet. Here is the tagline. Weird is relative. The clue is relative. Think what relative might mean. What does the word relative mean? Try and associate it with a film. Tricky, I know. But number 5, the tagline is, weird is relative. Number 6, I've got a clue for this one to start. It's a cult movie from the mid-1990s. I say mid, I think it's early 1990s. Here's the tagline. Just because they serve you doesn't mean they like you. So do that again. The clue was a cult film from the early 1990s. The tagline, just because they serve you doesn't mean they like you. Okay, next one, round number 2, movie taglines. No clues for this one, okay? Spartans, tonight we dine in hell. So this is a more up-to-date film. No clues, and the tagline is for number 7, Spartans, tonight we dine in hell. Acting was never my forte, as you can tell. Here we go. This one's a great tagline. I think this one's brilliant. Best one of the night. No clues for this one. The legend had it coming. Find out where Robin Hood put his little John. What made Will scarlet? And what did Friar Tuck tuck into his tights that made Marion all of a quiver? I think that's brilliant. Okay, so obviously it's a Robin Hood film. But which one is it? The tagline is, the legend had it coming. Find out where Robin Hood put his little John. What made Will scarlet? And what did Friar tuck it into his tights that made Marion all of a quiver? Oh, brilliant. That one was number 8. 2 more to go to the end of the round. Number 9, the clue is a quirky comedy from 2001. Here is the tagline. Family isn't a word, it's a sentence. That is a tricky one. So the clue again, a quirky comedy from 2001. Family isn't a word, it's a sentence. And finally, the last one of the taglines. I do like this round, I've got to be honest. Always have fun coming up with these and finding them on the internet, the old Google search. Some really good sites showing off these taglines and movie publicity campaigns from now and back in the day. Number 10, a Best Picture winner from 1986. Here's the tagline: "The first casualty of war is innocence." So if you can remember your best picture winners from the 80s, this one was 1986. "The first casualty of war is innocence" is the tagline. So that's 1 to 10 movie taglines. How did you fare for this one? I'm just realizing how low crop my V-neck is tonight, showing it all off. It's only not even the 9 o'clock curfew yet. How did you get on with your second round? How do you? I like these taglines. I don't know what you think of them. I always find them fun coming up with the questions. Maybe not so fun trying to work out the answers. They're tricky, these ones. How did you fare? We've done these for quite a few weeks. I think we've done around about 4 weeks of rounds of the taglines in the past, going back to the summer lockdown. Thought I'd bring them back for this first December edition. Yeah, what was question 2? Yeah, no problem. So number 2, round number 2 of the taglines. Okay, the clue was a sci-fi cult movie from 2001. The tagline is, "Life is one long insane trip. Some people just have better directions." So that was number 2. Anyone else need any more repeating before we move on? We'll move on to round 3 in just a minute, but before we do that, I'll talk about the first film I watched this week. See if you've seen it as well. I'll just give you a little verdict to the first film. And then my second recommendation for later on, a couple of topics of discussion as well that I wanted to discuss with you all this evening and hear your viewpoints, all film related, of course. So how did everybody get on with taglines tonight? Yeah, do you know what? It was going to be a topic of conversation tonight about the Warner thing, about releasing straight to streaming platforms the same day as cinema. We've spoken about cinemas, how they recover from the pandemic. We've spoken about that a couple of times on previous quizzes. I think the cinemas are slightly, the big heads of cinemas, getting frustrated with this lack of window. Going back years and years ago, there was such a gap between video release and cinema release. It was like 6 months. It's getting shorter and shorter now. I must say, during the pandemic, I've never been a big fan of watching film on laptops or TV screens. I like to see films projected on a big cinematic experience, but I've kind of got a little bit used to changing my viewing habits now. I think I occasionally watch a film on a laptop, even on an iPad. It's all very much a changing industry that's really changed rapidly with technology. I think people consuming film in very different ways now. Bikey Chick confident with an 8 on this one. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear all your views on cinema later, and this window as well that Warner, I think, is from next year, releasing same day release streaming platform services as well as cinema release. Okay, so my first recommendation, and this is a big recommendation tonight. I'm not going to talk about it for too long. This week, I've been watching The Mandalorian Series 2. I quite enjoyed Series 1. I thought I'd give Series 2 a go. It's just been released on the Disney Plus streaming platform. And I got to be honest, I was a little bit of a cynic about the Disney trilogy franchise. I didn't particularly enjoy the last one. I still think Rogue One's probably the strongest film. But I've really enjoyed The Mandalorian. I think for me, it's probably the best thing that Disney have done in terms of the Star Wars franchise. As a friend of mine says, it kind of plays out like this Western. I think the guy that plays the Mandalorian does a pretty good job. The visuals are stunning, and there's a good balance between your build-up scenes with character development, dialogue, and action sequences. I think the only sad thing about it is they've obviously spent such a lot of time and money on the sets, the effects, the costumes, the locations. It's just a shame you can't see this all on a cinema screen. You have to see it on a TV set, unless you've got a massive TV screen, or on a laptop or whatever. But I don't know if any of you been watching The Mandalorian series 2. I got to be honest, I'm enjoying it. I think it's pretty good overall. The first film I watched this week is by a Polish director. I really like Krzysztof Kieślowski. I think he's such a great filmmaker. I love the Three Colors trilogy. If you've never seen them, they're so good. Three colors, red, white, and blue. Red being the last one. So I watched a film he did in the early 90s, 1991, called The Double Life of Veronique, with an actress called Irene Jacob. A quick synopsis is two parallel stories about two identical women, one living in Poland, the other in France. They don't know each other, but their lives are connected. I was quite blown away by this film. Every Kieślowski film I've seen has been great. I'd happily watch the whole body of his work. Beautifully shot. It's such an intriguing story about two people that have never met one another, but in some ways are connected. They share a love and a passion for music, and kind of their aspiration is very set around music. So music plays a big part of the film. If you've never seen this film and you like your European films, have a watch of it on Amazon Prime. It really is a beautiful film, extraordinarily played by the lead actress, who speaks in Polish as well as French. And I would go as far as to say this is probably one of the best films that I've seen during the lockdown. We're talking about the next film I watched a bit later, which was very different to The Double Life of Veronique. I went from kind of an art house film to watching a cult film from the 80s, but I'll reveal that a bit later. Anyone seen any Kieślowski films? I know not everyone's taste, perhaps, but he really is a filmmaker worth getting into if you love your world cinema, if you like your directors. He's just prolific. I put him easily as one of my favorite filmmakers, and easily go as far as saying probably one of the best of all time. Magnificent filmmaker. Okay, I'll start waffling. Round number 3. Okay, so mentioned Annette Bening last week. We're going to do a round on the actress, the Hollywood actress. 10 questions on the acclaimed actress Annette Bening. Somebody else giving a shout out for Kieślowski. Decalogue, yeah, I forgot to mention Decalogue, which I think ended up being broadcast on television. I think the BBC broadcast it in the 80s. Yeah, you're right. It's a fantastic film. Good episode or segment of that. The short film about killing. That's another film really worth seeing. Okay, so Annette Bening. Okay, so here we go. Number 1 so far. No technical glitches. Luck's on my side tonight. Okay, so Annette Bening has been nominated for the Academy Award on 4 occasions, but she's never won the Oscar. Name the 4 films that she's been nominated for. So I'm looking for the 4 films she's received actress nominations for. Oddly, she's never won one, which I was a little bit surprised about. She's always good. I like her a lot. Talented woman. So question 1 again. Annette Bening has been nominated for the Academy Award on 4 occasions, but she's never won the Oscar. But name the 4 films she's received nominations. That is number 1. Be interested to find out if any of you are fans of Annette, what you think of her. I always think she's good. Number 2, 2 answers to this one. So 2 points on offer yet again. Bening plays which American actress from the 1940s and 50s in the biopic Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool? But for a bonus point, name the British actor who plays a love interest in the movie, famous for his role in Billy Elliot. This is a film we showed LA Cinema probably about a year ago. Quite enjoyed it. But Bening plays which American actress from the 1940s and 50s in the biopic Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool? But for the bonus point, name the British actor who plays a love interest in the movie, famous for his role in Billy Elliot. So two answers to that one. Just have a quick sip of water. Number 3 now. Bening married which iconic Hollywood actor and director on March the 3rd, 1992? A man quite well known for his womanizing over the years. Had loads of women that he was involved with. Good looking guy. But Bening married which iconic Hollywood actor and director on March the 3rd, 1992? So we go from Annette Bening's husband to a film in the 90s. Number 4. Bening stars in which 1996 Tim Burton movie about Earth being invaded by Martians with unbeatable weapons and a cruel sense of humor? Good fun film from the 90s. I remember seeing this one when it came out. Can't believe it was that long ago. So number 4, Bening stars in which 1996 Tim Burton movie about Earth being invaded by Martians with unbeatable weapons and a cruel sense of humor? Okay, so we go from a B sci-fi movie to some Shakespeare. Number 5, Bening plays Queen Elizabeth in a 1995 film adaptation of Richard III. But name the actor who plays Richard III in the film and also directed the film. This is a film I've not seen. I hear it's pretty good, a good Shakespeare adaptation. So Bening plays Queen Elizabeth in a 1995 film adaptation of Richard III. But name the actor who plays Richard III in the film and also directed the film. Next one is number 6. Okay, so Bening plays Caroline Burnham, the wife of sexually frustrated husband Lester Burnham. But name her male co-star who won the Best Acting Oscar in a leading role for his performance in American Beauty. So a film from the late 90s. Bening plays Caroline Burnham, the wife of a sexually frustrated husband Lester Burnham. But name her male co-star who won the Best Acting Oscar in a leading role for his performance in American Beauty. 3 more to go. Tricky question now, number 7. So Bening co-stars alongside Robert De Niro in which 1991 drama about a director who finds his loyalty has been called into question by the House Committee on Un-American Activities in the 1950s. So this is a film about the McCarthy witch hunts. It came out in 1991, Bening co-starring alongside the great Robert De Niro. De Niro plays a director who finds his loyalty has been called into question for un-American activities in the 1950s. But tell me the name of the movie. Go now to comic book movie, more up to date. Bening plays Supreme Intelligence Dr. Wendy Lawson in which Marvel film from 2019? If you like your Marvel films, Here's one featuring Annette Bening in sort of a small role. She plays Supreme Intelligence Dr. Wendy Lawson in which Marvel film from 2019? Another film from the 2000s next for question number 9. Bening stars alongside which iconic American actor who plays an aging rock star whose life is changed when he discovers a old letter written by John Lennon in the film Danny Collins? So Danny Collins is the film, but tell me who is the main male actor, the lead? Bening plays alongside which iconic American actor who plays aging rock star whose life is changed when he discovers a 40-year-old letter written by John Lennon in the film Danny Collins? So tell me the name of the lead actor. Very famous, great Hollywood actor, one of my favorites. Always comes across as a great guy as well. Quite down to earth. Okay, is a current film due for release soon for number 10. Annette Bening stars in which forthcoming film directed by Kenneth Branagh and featuring Detective Poirot as he investigates the murder of a young heiress while on vacation? I'll repeat that. So Annette Bening stars in which forthcoming film directed by Kenneth Branagh and featuring Detective Poirot as he investigates the murder of a young girl while on vacation? Okay, it's all 10 questions. It's the end of round number 3. Hollywood actress Annette Bening, how did you all fare with this one? A couple of tricky questions. I think the question, the Robert De Niro film from the early 90s, is a little bit of a tricky one. How did you get on? Anyone confident on this one? Yeah, what was question number 7? Yeah, so question number 7 was the De Niro question, as I got the cat trying to break the door down. Number 7, Annette Bening co-stars alongside Robert De Niro in which 1991 drama about a director who finds his loyalty has been called into question by the House Committee on Un-American Activities in the 1950s. So yeah, I just want you to tell me the name of the film, the title. Dutch film buff, the first person to think that he maybe got 7 out of 13, which wouldn't be a bad score. Anyone else quietly confident on this one? Top of the class, or do you think you're not so clued up on your Annette Bening films? Bikey Chicken 11, which would be a good score. Yeah, she's a good actress, Annette Bening. I think a little bit underrated. She's always good, always consistent. Okay, so last couple of weeks we've had little hiccups, technical issues, and thank heavens tonight so far the connection's been good. But somebody said, why don't you do a round on continuity errors, which I thought was a good suggestion. So here's a round on film continuity errors. Let's see how you get on with this round. 10 questions again. Mr. Harlequin saying an 11 for round number 3 on Annette Bening. That would be a good score. Let's move on to the continuity errors now. Ready for number 1? I want you to name the 2014 biographical drama directed by Clint Eastwood where a robot baby was used in a pivotal scene where actor Bradley Cooper is seen bonding with his infant child. I didn't even know about this, to be honest, but apparently a robot baby was used. So name the 2014 biographical drama directed by Clint Eastwood where a robot baby was used in a pivotal scene where actor Bradley Cooper is seen bonding with his infant child. Okay, number 2. So Jules and Vincent successfully dodge bullets. However, the bullets were already present in the previous shot before the gunfire occurred. But what is the film? So this is a bit of a big mistake in a big film. The characters Jules and Vincent successfully dodge bullets. However, the bullets were already present in the previous shot before the gunfire occurred. But tell me the name of the film. Quite enjoyed doing this one. I never ever spot errors in films, I got to be honest, but it's a little bit of a topic of conversation later. Number 3, a major continuity error in a Best Picture winner from 2001. But what is the film? Okay, so during the Battle of Carthage scene, a gas tank is revealed when a chariot is tossed over. Massive mistake. It's a continuity error from a Best Picture winner from 2001. But during a battle scene, a gas tank is revealed when a chariot is tossed over. What is the name of the film? Okay, so number 4, this is a famous blooper. A stormtrooper hits his head on a blast shield door of the Death Star in which Star Wars movie? I watched this back the other day. It's quite funny. Just bangs his head on top of the door. The stormtrooper as he's on the Death Star. But so many Star Wars movies, as we know. That mistake happens in which Star Wars movie? That is number 4. Number 5, I didn't know about this continuity mistake. Need to rewatch the film and see it. But here it is, number 5. Scott Howard wins a competitive basketball match. We see the reaction of the crowd, who are excited and jumping up and down. However, we see one woman feverishly zipping up her trousers. Name this 1985 film. Apparently it's a crowd shot. Everybody's cheering because Michael J. Fox has just won the match. But there's a woman in the crowd not reacting because she's too busy doing up the flies on her trousers. Tell me the name of this comedy film from the 80s. Jack M saying the stormtrooper was played by an actor who plays the milkman in EastEnders. Oh, I love that. Never knew that. And a Dave Prowse connection as well, which we mentioned at the beginning. The loss of Dave Prowse, who played Darth Vader in the 3 original films, played in other films, played the Green Cross Code Man, was in Kubrick's Clockwork Orange, was in a Carry On film, I'm not sure which one. Okay, number 6, the Well of Souls scene. Our hero falls into a pit of cobras, and we see one stare him straight in the face. A glass plane separates the two, and we can clearly see the snake's reflection. But name the film. Famous film. We all love this film, grew up with it. It's always on the TV at Christmas, but it's got a massive blooper in it. The Well of Souls scene. Our hero falls into a pit of cobras. You see him stare straight in the face of the cobra, and a glass plane separates the two of them, but you can clearly see the snake's reflection. This mistake is in which film? Number 7, slightly trickier this one. The climax of the film. A comedy detective tries to solve the central mystery, while the man bankrolling his investigation is playing chess by himself. Our hero interrupts and moves a chess piece only to have all the pieces vanish in the next shot. Name this comedy sequel from 1995. This is a shocking film. I remember seeing this at the cinema. in the mid-90s and bitterly disappointed. I haven't seen it since then, thank heavens. But here's the mistake. It's during the climax of the film, a comedy detective tries to solve the central mystery, while the man bankrolling his investigation is playing chess by himself. Our hero interrupts and moves a chess piece, only to have all the pieces vanish in the next shot. Name this comedy sequel from 1995. The comedy detective is the clue. Number 8, a classic family film from the 1930s. During a musical routine, our hero is seen first with pigtails just above her shoulders. Then, as the song progresses, they grow longer, reaching below her shoulders. Yet, when the song concludes, they go back to their original length. This error happens in which movie? Classic Hollywood film, family favorite. Do like this film. So it's from the 1930s. During a musical routine, our hero is seen first with pigtails just above her shoulders. Then, as the song progresses, they grow longer, reaching below her shoulders. Yet when the song concludes, they go back to their original length. This continuity error happens in which film? I bet you'll all get that one. Number 9 is harder. Have a go at this one. An acclaimed mystery thriller from 1995. A 4-engine jet airliner, a Boeing 747, comes into land. But when the plane is shown from behind, it only has 2 engines. Hence it's a Boeing 767. But name the film. The clue's probably in the year and the genre. It's an acclaimed mystery thriller released in 1995. But here is the mistake. A 4-engine jet airliner, a Boeing 747, comes into land. But when the plane is shown from behind, it only has 2 engines. A Boeing 767. But tell me the mistake in which film? Last one, number 10. Here we go. In this scene, Roger Thornhill is confronted by Eve Kendall near Mount Rushmore. He discovers that the woman he's fallen in love with just might not be who she seems. During a confrontation, she shoots him point blank with a gun. However, in the background, we see a young boy put his fingers in his ears before the gun is fired. Name this classic Hitchcock film. The Mount Rushmore thing's a big clue in this one. I need to watch this back. I wouldn't mind seeing this scene. Sounds quite funny. Here's how it plays out. In this scene, Roger Thornhill is confronted by Eve Kendall near Mount Rushmore. He discovers that the woman he's fallen in love with might not be who he thinks she is. During a confrontation, she shoots him point blank with a gun. However, in the background, we see a young boy put his fingers in his ears before the gun is fired. Name the classic Hitchcock film. Okay, that's all 10. This was a suggestion. We had a couple of weeks of technical glitches. We haven't had one tonight, but don't tempt fate. So someone said, put a round in on continuity errors. Anyone need any of these repeating at all? Or tricky bunch, tricky 10? How did you fare with your continuity errors? How did you get on? As I said, I never really spot any mistakes in films. There's some people who've got like YouTube dedicated channels and they look out specifically for mistakes like reflections in mirrors, things put in the wrong places. Oh, before coming on air doing the quiz, I was looking at the Three Men and a Baby. Apparently there's a scene where there's a ghost boy in the background. Apparently that's quite famous. And they basically said it was just a cutout of Ted Danson. Downton Abbey, I think somebody left a A bottle of water in shot on a mantelpiece. That was in one of the newspapers. Jack Empson, great round, probably only 7 out of 10. Yeah, tough round that one, but I quite enjoyed doing that one. Okay, we'll move on to the penultimate round in just a minute. I said I'd also talk about the second film I watched this week, which I watched yesterday evening. A totally different film to the first one, Kieslowski's Double Life of Veronique, which I highly recommend. This second film, I got to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed with, but when I reveal it, a couple of you might shoot me down on this one. I like my films from the 80s. It was the era I was born in. So for sentimental reasons, there's several films I like. I'd never seen this cult movie from 1984. So I've had it on Blu-ray from Arrow Video, always highly recommended. The Blu-ray and DVD releases are great. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. Never seen this film. I've heard so much about it. Mr. Baseheart, who's a regular player on here, said give it a go. It's very strange and bizarre. It's got a really good cast in it, though. It's kind of a sci-fi B movie, released in 1984. It stars Peter Weller, who would go on to play Officer Murphy and RoboCop. John Lithgow is always good value for money. The excellent Ellen Barkin, who I love. Young Jeff Goldblum, and Christopher Lloyd from the Back to the Future films, a great comedian. It's about an adventurer, a brain surgeon, a rock musician, Buckaroo Banzai, and his crime-fighting team, the Hong Kong Cavaliers, who must stop evil alien invaders from the eighth dimension who want to conquer Earth. I know this film's like a little bit of a cult film. It's got a little bit of a follow-in because a lot of people say it's very similar to sort of the Body Snatchers, Big Trouble in Little China. I must admit I was a little bit disappointed with it. I thought it started off really good. I liked the opening sequence. And then I found Peter Weller a little bit unengaging. I think because he plays the role too straight. It's a film that is a comedy. It's supposed to be a bit of fun, but I felt he just played the role too straight. I felt it held up quite well considering it's 30 years old, but I felt Ellen Barkin, who's normally good as the love interest, was basically wasted in her role. Good performances from John Lithgow as the bad guy. Quite enjoyed seeing Jeff Goldblum. But the thing that let it down for me overall, I think, was the script for me, and the story was just a complete mess. So I was a little bit disappointed. Anybody seen this one? Anybody a fan? I went back to Mr. Baseheart, and he was telling me he really likes it, and that he liked the fact that Peter Weller kind of played it very straight and very serious. But I don't know, I just didn't get it. Dutch film buff saying it's okay. Yeah, I was just a bit underwhelmed by it. And to be honest, first thing I did next day was put this one on eBay for sale. But people seem to love these Arrow releases. Yeah, Naked Lunch, I'm going to give that one a go. I think there's a good Criterion release of that one. But that was the second film I watched this week. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. Fancy a little bit of 80s nostalgia? Give it a little go. So yeah, after the last round, the topics of discussion tonight, which I'll be asking you, are your thoughts on director's cuts and re-edits. So filmmakers that go back to their original films and decide to make changes. What do you think of that? Which ones have you think have worked well? Which ones not so good? And also about continuity errors. Are you someone that watches films and looks out for these specific things? And can you think of any big mistakes in any major films? Okay, so we'll discuss that a bit later. And then we'll finish up the quiz with the answers. The 4th week of the second lockdown quiz. I don't know how many we've done now. Another recommendation now, round number 5, sword and sorcery films. 10 questions. Are you ready, everyone? Final round. And thank heavens, no technical glitches this week. Maybe the yellow jumpers are helping. My good luck mascot. Number 1, name this 1963 adventure movie featuring spectacular visual effects by the late Ray Harryhausen. A legendary Greek hero leads a team of intrepid adventurers on a quest for the Golden Fleece. So the clue is a 1963 adventure movie with visual effects by the late Ray Harryhausen. A legendary Greek hero leads a team of intrepid adventurers on a quest for the Golden Fleece. What's the name of the film? Number 2 now. A little bit trickier, this one. Kind of a B movie, this one. Mark Singer plays the lead in this 1982 sword and sorcery fantasy. It's about a young man's search for revenge. Armed with supernatural powers, a handsome hero and his animal allies wage war against evil forces. So early 80s, Mark Singer plays the lead in a 1982 fantasy film. It's about a young man's search for revenge, armed with supernatural powers, a handsome hero and his animal allies wage war against evil forces. What is the film? I haven't seen this one. I might have to put this one on next week if it's a little bit of fun, a little bit of escapism for 90 minutes. Here's a film I did see when it came out as a kid, a 1988 action-adventure drama. A young farmer is chosen to take a perilous journey in order to protect a special baby from an evil queen. I think they're planning on remaking this one. A 1988 action drama. A 1988 action-adventure drama. A young farmer is chosen to take a journey in order to protect a special baby from an evil queen. Yeah, I think you're right. There is a sequel, isn't there, to the previous question, which was number 2. Number 4 now. Released in 1996, this adventure film features the voice of the late Sean Connery. The last dragon and a disillusioned dragon-slaying knight must cooperate to stop an evil king. I think this is the only film I've ever seen on a boat, of all places. My recollections are a bit bad, but I remember going on a ferry boat, and they had a cinema. I saw this film in the cinema on the boat. But useless information. Released in 1996, it's an adventure film featuring the voice of the late Sean Connery. The last dragon and a disillusioned dragon-slaying knight must cooperate to stop an evil king. Name the film. A TV series as well, okay? Okay, so we go from a film about a dragon-slaying knight to an ex-WWF wrestler, or shall I say WWE. So number 5, an ex-WWE wrestler stars in this 2002 action-adventure movie. A desert warrior rises up against an evil army. He captures the enemy's key sorcerer and takes her deep into a desert to prepare the final showdown. What is the film? So this is the last round of tonight, swords and sorcery round. Number 5 again, an ex-WWE wrestler stars in this 2002 action-adventure movie. A desert warrior rises up against an evil army. He captures the enemy's key sorcerer and takes her deep into a desert to prepare the final showdown. What is the name of this 2002 movie? Number 6, only a few to go. The final few questions. Number 6, a live 1987 film version based on a cartoon series and toy franchise. Frank Langella plays Skeletor as he and his armies of darkness tried to control Grayskull from our powerful hero played by Dolph Lundgren. This was a film I saw when it came out. As a young kid, I used to love the animation series, and I had the toys. They're worth a fortune now. It's a live 1987 film version based on a cartoon series and toy franchise. Frank Langella plays Skeletor as he and his armies of darkness try to control Castle Grayskull from a powerful hero played by Dolph Lundgren. Imagine you all get this one. Here we go, number 7 now. A sequel released in 1990. A young boy with a distant father enters a world of make-believe and magic through a portal within an antique book. Tell me the name of the sequel. 1990. Okay, Frank Langella, one of his favorite roles. Yeah, I think they had problems with budget and running out of money on that film. Of course, it was made by the mighty Cannon Films. Discovered a few Cannon bits of memorabilia I've had in the house, actually, that I'll maybe share with you next week if you're interested. One of my friends was really excited about one of the things I found, which to Boy was a set of the kind of tiles, publicity from Cannon Films. The cinemas in, I think, Rome, France, and their headquarters in LA, and they're these little tiles in a Canon presentation box. And I also found a Canon cinema sign from one of the cinemas in the UK. Okay, number 7 again, a sequel released in 1990. A young boy with a distant father enters a world of make-believe and magic through a portal within an antique book. But what is the sequel? Number 8 now, we go from the 90s, 1990 to 85. A 1985 release. A thief escapes a dungeon. Soldiers are about to kill him when he is saved by a man traveling with a bird of prey who plans to kill a bishop from a medieval village. So tell me the film, released in 1985. A thief escapes a dungeon. Soldiers are about to kill him when he's saved by a man traveling with a bird of prey who plans to kill a bishop from a medieval village. Question 49 now, and then 50 as we end the 4th edition of the quiz for the second lockdown, UK lockdown. Number 9, an adventure movie released in 2000. Jeremy Irons plays a tyrant who attempts to overthrow a peaceful kingdom ruled by a tough empress. Tell me the name of the film. Christopher Blackett saying documentary made about Cannon. Yeah, I've seen that one. I enjoyed that. Is it called Electric Boogaloo? I saw it a couple of years back. I had it on a DVD. Yeah, crazy what those guys got up to. Gollum and Globus. They just churned out so many films. Fair play to them. They did get a lot of films made under their slate. Sadly, the results weren't always the best, but they certainly had a passion for film. Yeah, I'm sure it's called Electric Boogaloo. Yeah, next week, if you're interested, I'll dig out the sign, the cinema sign and the tiles and show you them. They're nice little bits of memorabilia, actually. I just want to sell them, get rid of them, declutter the house. Number 9 again, an adventure movie released in 2000. Jeremy Irons plays a tyrant who attempts to overthrow a peaceful kingdom ruled by a tough empress. Tell me the film. And last one of the night, number 10, the penultimate one, number 50, question 50. Released in 2013, an ancient war between humans and a race of giants is reignited when our hero opens a gateway between the two worlds. Number 10 again, a release from 2013. An ancient war between humans and a race of giants is reignited when our hero opens a gateway between two worlds. The last one. Okay. So that's all the questions. That was the last round of tonight. Swords and sorcery. How did you all fare with this one? This was a recommendation. I can't recall who asked for it from last week. If you're taking part, let me know. A couple of people name dropping some canon films. Oh, Superman 4. That was a atrociously bad film. I remember seeing that at a Canon cinema here in Bristol. It was down by the old ice rink in the city. Christopher Reeve, Gene Hackman, wasn't there? It's always great as Lex Luthor. How did you guys and girls get on with the last round then? Swords and sorcery. Dutch film buff, the first person suspecting that he may have scored an 8 out of 10, which would be a decent score to finish off. Bikey Chick saying maybe a 6. Thanks for joining us again. Always a regular. Anyone else confident or maybe not so confident? In a minute, I'll reveal the answers as always. We'll go through them, see how you got on, get you to tally up your scores and see how you did. But yeah, I was going to ask you some opinions before we reveal tonight's answers and get the scores. Okay, so I mentioned at the beginning of the quiz that Francis Ford Coppola has done a recut, a re-edit of The Godfather Part 3, which wasn't particularly well received when it came out. I think it was in 1990. Got mixed bag of reviews. Hard film to follow up Godfather 1 and 2. Masterpieces, fantastic films. It's called Godfather Coda. It's released on Blu-ray, DVD, of course. It's on streaming services. I think it's on Amazon Prime. I'm going to watch it. But what are your thoughts about directors that weren't happy with the original cuts of their films? Maybe it was to do with conflicting things with the studios. Sometimes it gets in the studio's hands and the studio want the film to be made and presented in a certain way. What are your thoughts on filmmakers that have done that? And what would you say are good director's cuts? I can think of quite a few. One of the most famous films to be butchered was Orson Welles' second film, which I've got on the shelf, I think somewhere. This one here. People that saw it before it was butchered by the studios say it was another masterpiece. Still holds up well. Magnificent Ambersons. That was a film that was totally butchered by the studios who burned all the negatives. The ones I can think of off my top of the head are Apocalypse Now, Director's Cut, The Redux, Blade Runner, of course. There was the Director's Cut and the Final Cut. Once Upon a Time in America, they did a Director's Cut, added additional scenes. Ridley Scott's Legend, another film he went back to do a Director's Cut. Which ones do you like? Which ones haven't you been so keen on? Another film I can think of that there was conflict with the studio and the director was Alien 3, David Fincher. Okay. Dutch film buff saying about, I still only watched the letterbox and the DVD versions of the original Star Wars trilogies. Yeah, of course, the Star Wars ones, they did the special editions, which they brought out in the 90s. Added some CGI scenes, didn't they, of like Jabba the Hutt. Anyone else think of any re-edits that they've liked and think they were better than the original versions, or did they deter at all? Anyone want to add to this? And then the other thing I was going to come on to in a minute, we did a round on continuity errors, which I never spot any of them. I think I'm just too endorsed in the films. Can you think of any films with some shockingly bad continuity errors? And are these things that you look out for when you watch a film? Do you always spot like a glass that was in one place in one particular scene and then disappeared? Person was wearing a watch in one scene and then put their arm up again and it disappeared in the next one. Are you someone that kind of looks out for those mistakes? In a minute, we'll reveal the answers. Yeah, continuity errors. They are funny. I knew two guys in Bristol who made short films, comedy sketches, and they did a brilliant comedy sketch of two kind of working class guys in a van having an argument, but they blatantly put these blatant continuity errors in the shots and they kind of play on it. I'll have to dig out a link and send it next week. It's really good. They go by the name of Shunk Films, Bristol lads. Spartacus, Kubrick Spartacus. Surely the perfectionist Stanley Kubrick wouldn't let a soldier wear a wristwatch. Yeah, Aliens, you're right. I think there was an Alien director's cut as well, wasn't there? Okay, so I think we'll reveal the answers. Before we do that, what were your thoughts on, there was a lot about, well, I'm based here in Bristol, the home of David Prowse. Apparently there was a statue erected where Edward Colston was. The statue was pulled down during the lockdown and resurrected with a Darth Vader statue. Should it stay there? A guy in jeans in Raiders of the Lost Ark. That was an answer to a continuity question. We'll find out in a minute. Yeah, should Dave Prowse Darth Vader statue stay in that place? You ready for the answers? Here we go. 5 rounds. Here we go. Sci-fi was the first one. The answer to question 1, Future World, was the sequel to Westworld. So it's Future World. Answer to question 1. 2 answers for question 2. Who plays Flash Gordon in the 1980 film? It's Sam J. Jones or Sam Jones. And who plays the baddie? Ming. It's the great Max von Sydow, Max von Sydow. So Sam J. Jones and Max von Sydow. Third one, I asked you to name the director of Wizards. Also did Lord of the Rings, the animated feature, Fritz the Cat, and Cool World. Didn't quite know how to pronounce his name. I think it's Rolf Bakshi. Rolf Bakshi was the answer to number 3. Number 4 was the character that Kirk Russell plays in Escape from New York. It's Snake Plissken. Played him in the sequel, which wasn't so good, Escape from LA. Snake Plissken. The 1979 movie, which sees H.G. Wells go back to the 20th century, is Time After Time. So Time After Time sees Malcolm McDowell play H.G. Wells and David Warner as the baddie, Jack the Ripper. The full title for the second Star Trek film is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, which is highly rated. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Number 7, the 1976 science fiction film. It was The Man Who Fell to Earth. The Man Who Fell to Earth. Number 8, the answer was Robert De Niro. He plays Heaton engineer Harry Tuttle in Terry Gilliam's Brazil. So Robert De Niro. Number 9, one of the hardest questions of the night. What are RoboCop's 4 prime directives? Directive number 1 is serve the public trust. Number 2, protect the innocent. Number 3, uphold the law. And the fourth one is classified. So serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law, and the last one is classified. Number 10, the film I mentioned, gave you a description of, is the 1988 manga film. It's Akira. So Akira. How did you get on with that round? That was number 1. The 10 questions. I think the Robocop one was tricky, particularly the fourth directive. Somebody mentioned about a blooper, Shirley Cormish. The Killing Time, when Kiefer Sutherland unwraps the same parcel of fish twice. I'll have to look out for that. Bikey Chick, a 7. Dutch film buff, a good score, 10 for round number 1, which was sci-fi from the 70s and 8. Sorry, round number 2. Losing the plot here tonight. No, what have I done? Round number 1, sorry. So, no, sorry. What? I'm losing the plot here. Yeah, sci-fi was round number 1. That was the questions. 70s and 80s. Losing my mind. Better Than Expected, Gail Rogers, a 9. Not a bad score. Mr. Harlequin, a good score of 11, as I'm losing my marbles. Christopher Blackett, a good score as well, with a 10. So I've done round 1. Here's round number 2. The movie taglines. Experience it, enjoy it, just don't fall for it, is from the film Almost Famous, which is a tribute film to the music of the 1970s. So Almost Famous, number 1. Tagline number 2 was Life is one long insane trip. Some people just have better directions. It's Donnie Darko. Donnie Darko from 2001. Number 3, I'd imagine you all got this one. Probably the easiest. He is afraid. He is totally alone. He's 3 million light years from home. E.T., come home. It's E.T., the extraterrestrial. So E.T., answer number 3. Number 4, there were no clues again. 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. That's a lot of space to find one fish. That fish is Finding Nemo. So Finding Nemo, answer number 4. Number 5, weird is relative. I did say the clue is relative. Kind of try and link that. What is a relative? The Addams Family is the answer. The Addams Family for 5. Number 6, the cult movie from the early 90s. The tagline was just because they serve you doesn't mean they like you. The film was Clerks. So Clerks is number 6. Number 7, Spartans, tonight we dine in hell. The film is 300, that tagline. So 300, answer to number 7. Number 8, the tagline was from Robin Hood, Men in Tights, the Mel Brooks film. The comedy, Robin Hood, Men in Tights. Number 9, family isn't a word, it's a sentence. Tricky one, this. It was the Royal Tenenbaums. So the Royal Tenenbaums, number 9. And the Best Picture winner from 1986 with this tagline, the first casualty of war is innocence. It is Platoon. So that was all 10 taglines. Some hard ones in there. How did you get on with your movie taglines? We brought it back again. How did you fare with this one? Dreadful, says Mr. Harlequin, a 5. It's not a bad score, in fairness. It's half the answers. So 5 from Mr. Harlequin. Anyone else with this one? How did you get on? The movie taglines round, brought it back. I do enjoy this one. Dutch film buff, 6. Good score. Gail Rogers, an excellent 9. Really good. Thumbs up indeed. Bikey Chick, not bad, a 6. Got 4 wrong. Let's move on to Annette Bening. That was round number 3. Here are the answers. She's been nominated for the Academy Award on 4 occasions. Which films? They are The Grifters, American Beauty, Being Julia, and The Kids Are All Right. She's never won the Oscar. The nominations were for Film 1, The Grifters, Film 2, American Beauty, Film 3, Being Julia, and the last one, The Kids Are All Right. 2 answers to number 2. Gloria Graham is the actress she plays in Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool, and a male co-star is Jamie Bell. So Gloria Graham, Jamie Bell. She is married to which iconic Hollywood actor? Still together, they've been married since 1992. It's Warren Beatty. Warren Beatty. Number 4, the film from 1996 she stars in, Tim Burton film, it's Mars Attacks. Remember seeing that one back in the day, Mars Attacks. Number 5, it's Ian McKellen that plays Richard III, also directs the film. Bening plays Queen Elizabeth, so Ian McKellen. Number 6, it was Kevin Spacey that won the Oscar, leading actor Oscar for American Beauty. Bening played his wife, Caroline Burnham. Kevin Spacey. Number 7, a tricky one. Thumbs up if you got this one. The film that she stars with Robert De Niro, released in 1991, is Guilty by Suspicion. Guilty by Suspicion. I haven't seen that one for years. Number 8, Captain Marvel is the film where she plays Dr. Wendy Lawson. So Captain Marvel. Al Pacino, answer number 9. She co-stars with in the film Danny Collins about an aging rock star. And lastly, the film coming soon, hopefully coming soon with everything that's going on at the moment, it's the Kenneth Branagh film, Detective Poirot, is Death on the Nile. So Death on the Nile, last answer to the round on the Hollywood actress Annette Bening. Top up your scores for this one. How did you fare with this round? 2 more rounds to go after this, and then it'll be the end of the 4th edition of the quiz. How did you fare on this particular round? Quite a tricky round, especially if you're not up maybe on your Annette Bening films or seen enough films she's been in. I always think she's good. She always gives a good performance, whatever she does. The Oscar one was hard, I think, the nominations. Bikey Chick, good, a 12. Gail Rogers, 10 out of 14 isn't bad, it's good. Dutch Film Buff, a 9 is good. And Mr. Harlequin, a good score of 11. Number 4, we spoke about a minute ago, is continuity errors. Number 1, what was the film where they used a robot baby in a Clint Eastwood film? It's American Sniper. American Sniper, answer number 1. Pulp Fiction was number 2. Pulp Fiction. Number 3, The Chariot Mistake. It's Gladiator. I expect you all got that one. Number 4, the stormtrooper hitting his head on a blast shield door. But which we know is Star Wars, but it's Episode 4, A New Hope. Number 5, the mistake with the woman doing up her trouser flies. It's Teen Wolf, the 1985 film Teen Wolf. Number 6 is Raiders of the Lost Ark, the mistake with the snake. Number 7, Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, is the sequel with that big mistake in. So Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. Number 8, it's The Wizard of Oz with the mistake with the hair growing. That is answer number 8. And number 9, the mistake with the plane, the 4-jet engine. It's the usual suspects. And lastly, the mistake near Mount Rushmore with the boy. The reaction is North by Northwest. So final answer, the Hitchcock film, North by Northwest. That was continuity errors. How did you get on with that one? So 10 questions on mistakes, production errors or mistakes in films. How did you get on with this one? Some tricky ones in there. The plane one, the Boeing 747 one, was quite a hard one. How did you get on? And then in a minute, we'll move on to the penultimate round, swords and sorcery. Bikie Chick, a good score, 8. Gail Rogers loves the continuity errors round. She got a full 10 out of 10. Very well done. Deserve a drink for that. Dutch film buff, a good score. Just got one wrong, 9 out of 10. And Mr. Harlequin did really good. A 9, better than expected. Here we go, final round. 10 questions, sword and sorcery films. This 1963 adventure film with some great special effects by Ray Harryhausen. It was Jason and the Argonauts. So Jason and the Argonauts. The second one, Mark Singer plays the lead in the 1982 film Beastmaster. Beastmaster, answer number 2. The 1988 film for number 3 is Willow, which I haven't seen since it came out. Willow, number 3. Dragonheart, the late Sean Connery does the voice of the dragon. Dennis Quaid is the hero, Dragonheart. The ex-WWE wrestler film from 2002, answer number 5, The Scorpion King. Scorpion King. Number 6, I bet you all got this one, 1987 film, I Have the Power. That's bad. Dolph Lundgren, Frank Langella as the evil Skeletor as Masters of the Universe. Number 7, The Never-Ending Story 2, the next chapter, or Never-Ending Story 2, is the answer for question 7. Number 8, the 1985 film, Michelle Pfeiffer, Matthew Broderick, Rutger Hauer, it's Ladyhawke. Ladyhawke, number 8. Number 9, Jeremy Irons plays a tyrant in Dungeons and Dragons from 2000. Dungeons and Dragons. And number 50, the answer, 2013 film, is Jack the Giant Slayer. All 10 questions. How did you get on with the round? The kid actor who died so young. Which film was that? Sorry. Was that Jack and the Giant Slayer? How did you get on, everyone, with this round? What were your scores? And if you total up your scores from rounds 1 to 5, how did you fare with tonight's 4th edition of the quiz? Thankfully, no connection errors, even better. And did you enjoy this one, the 4th edition? An average 5, it's not a bad score. 6 for Bikie Chick. Never-Ending Story 2, I'll look into that. I didn't know that. So the lead child actor, 10 out of 10, brilliant score. Dutch film buff, really good. Mr. Harlequin, a good score of 8. And if you, as I said, if you total up your scores from rounds 1 to 5, total of 50 questions as usual. How did you do altogether? Few of our regulars not in tonight, I noticed. The Richards, Mr. Baysar, who normally does really well at these quizzes. So how did everyone get on? Sidekicks, yeah. Brilliant you mentioned that. I remember seeing that film. Yeah, Chuck Norris. Yeah, I need to check that out. Yeah, I'll look that up. Thanks. Sidekicks. That brings back some memories. Long time ago. So Biker Chick, the first person to reveal their score. Their total score for tonight was 39. Christopher Blackett was scored an 8 for that round number 5. Okay, so next Friday, would you like the quiz back again during the lockdown? Another quiz, be 5th week next week. 44 Dutch film buff, good score. Would you like a quiz next week? And if so, let me know. And any recommended topics or a theme? Oh, the jumper's far too big for me. It's a terrible jumper. It's like an XL size, and I'm not even an XL. I should smarten myself up, I think, for these quizzes. Wear a shirt and tie, but to be honest, having the kids and just laying around the house all day on furlough, you tend to just become a total scruff bag. Oh, the last before Christmas. Yes, please, Biker Chick. To be honest, I noticed that the Christmas films will do a Christmas theme then, maybe for next week. Christmas round. I will try and put on my beard and my Christmas hat and try not to be too much of a Scrooge. I'll dig out these Canon items, see what you think, as a bit of a laugh. I did say to someone I'd dig out this Princess Bride poster to show you from last week. It's really nice. So Christmas round, any other suggestions you like for next week? The other thing I was thinking is Christmas Day falls on a Friday when we normally do the quiz. I know sometimes at home on Christmas Day, people get bored. They spend a whole day eating, a whole day drinking, spending it with a family, and they want a little bit of a break. There's nothing on the TV. Do you want me to do a Christmas Day quiz? I don't mind. Could maybe do one on a Christmas Day, maybe a bit later, instead of 8:30, maybe 9, 9:30. It's up to you. I don't mind doing a Christmas quiz on Christmas Day. A cannon round, yeah, that would be a good idea. I'll do a cannon round. I think I might have done one actually, but I'll dig that out for next week. So we got Christmas films, we got canon films. Anyone else like to see one in for next week? Would anyone like a Christmas Day quiz? Is there any interest? I don't know. Yeah, I'll dig out the stuff for next week. Yeah, I don't mind doing a Christmas Day one. Maybe do it a bit later, maybe not the usual time, but I'll ask you next week, see how people feel about it. Don't mind at all. Yeah, thanks for tuning in this week. Yeah, I find with Christmas Day, people in the evening just get bored, and from my experience, people just want to go to bed early. There's nothing ever on the television. Anyway, thanks for tuning in for this week's quiz. I appreciate it. Good audience as always. Sequels is a good suggestion. I think I'm going to sit down. I feel quite wide awake. I think I'm going to, well, no advertising for Netflix, but I think I'm going to put on Netflix and watch this Mank, the new David Fincher film. Give it a go and see if you've watched it next week and see what you think. Rob Reiner films. Yeah, we'll put that on next week. We haven't done a Rob Reiner round. Yeah, thanks. No, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. And I'm pleased this week we didn't have any connection issues, because I was starting to worry it might be something my end. But obviously it's not. So anyway, I'll slate this one. I'll see you for more fun and action next week. Where's that light coming from? For next week's LA Cinema quiz. Thanks for tuning in. Good night, good luck, and see you next week. See you later. Good night. Thanks for tuning in.